What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction. Back with an amazing tune that I have a long-running personal connection to, but which I'm not exactly sure how to characterize. And indeed, I looked this up on Discogs just before I went to do this reaction, because I was curious what Discogs would say in terms of the styles and genres described. And their best stab is like future jazz, experimental, and tech house. I don't disagree with any of that. I would say it's sort of like jazzy acid house. Basically, this is 98, so, you know, we're talking well after the heyday of acid house. But it's a tune that I heard on a CD compilation. Don't even remember the name of the compilation. It was just one night, me and some of my friends had gone to a techno party and ended up getting broken up early by the cops, which in the late 90s, early 2000s, that's part of why the LA rave scene sort of died, or at least was severely crippled, because laws were passed that made it easy for any event to be shut down based on the premise that, like, they hadn't done a fire marshal inspection. So basically, like, the fire department could show up at the police and say, like, okay, this building should only have 200 people here. Looks like you got 400, party's over. And so through that and a couple other ways, parties were severely cracked down upon. So this was during that time. And I remember this was probably like either late 98, early 99. But we went to a party, it got broken up, so we went back to my place. And, you know, it was like 2:30 in the morning by the time we got back. And so we just were hanging around, you know, I think we were like playing video games and just, you know, talking or whatever. And we put on that compilation CD. And I think it was like the second or third track in, but this tune caught all of our ears, and it was like, man, that's great. So we put it on repeat. We ended up listening to it on repeat for like an hour. Like it was like a vibe. It was like this great, mellow, groovy, with a bit of acid atmosphere. So we ended up listening to it a number of times. We eventually took it off repeat and listened to the rest of the CD. But from then on, it was this tune that I was like, man, I love that track. It's not really trance, it's not really techno. Even for house, it's not like a, you know, hard house, like a warehouse sort of house tune. It was just this really abstract and pleasant bit of acid house. So years later, through Discogs, I remembered the tune one day, and I was like, oh man, I gotta look that up. And I was able to find out what it was called. It's called Spandex. It's by an artist called Omnivore, which I'm gonna look up. I opened the Discogs page for this release, but I didn't actually look at the artist, and I don't think I've ever, to this day, known anything about the artist. So the artist is named Jonathan Joseph Key. Looks like he's got a couple albums from back then, but it looks like everything he produces between 94 and 99. So it looks like, or at least under the name Omnivore. Now maybe he has a couple other aliases here, one of which looks like it went into the early 2000s. And then J.J. Key, which I guess is sort of a variant of his own name, he made an album, or no, sorry, a single in 1990. But essentially, it looks like he's been out of the production game for a while. But as I said, this track always caught my ear. So here we go, a track called Spandex, and this is the original mix from the label Hydrogen Dukebox in 1998. And again, you let me know after we listen what genre you would call this. Like, hearing that intro, the night we left it on repeat, it was like every time it would start over, it was like, yeah. Like, it was just this cool vibe, like I said, for an hour. We got bass. I wonder how my system's gonna handle this. memory is 25 years old. Like, what the hell does time go? The middle section of the tune, which is coming up, is my favorite part. It's where the acid shows up. It's about this shit. With the light, airy. Something electronica. Electronica was in the title. A good tune for 3 in the morning. It's like a desert or forest party type of track. Like, when I say it's a good 3 in the morning tune, you could play this like at an afternoon, like desert party or forest party. I do think that sort of lazy vocal comes back too. But admittedly, I originally heard this in the context of a mix, so I don't remember in the moment exactly how it ends, because my memory is it blending into the next tune, which I can still hear from that compilation. I don't know what that tune is, but I remember how it starts. right here, I think the other track is seeping in. Does it drop one more time? Or does it just end? Probably just ends. Surely. I don't know. It goes to show though, like, I've known this tune a long time, but I don't use it in mixes, because like I don't, what would I mix it with? I guess other acid house, but even then it's not like most of the other acid house I have. I do love the chronology and the composition. This is where it comes in. I knew it did that ascending evaporative. But by this time I think it's almost fully into the other tune. I'm gonna see if I can find what compilation that might have been part of. As I said, the release itself was part of Hydrogen Jukebox. I was going to say jukebox, which I think is obviously the pun. Let me see if I can find what this may have come from. I remember, oh, this is it. This is it. Yeah. Apparently it was, oh, the label was Instinct Electronica. It was also released as, you know, given a Hydrogen Jukebox cat number, but it was called High Performance. So Omnivore Spandex was followed by Slab Rampant Prankster, which I don't know if they'll show that here. No, it's not one of the ones that they have a YouTube video for. Oh, well, they have a different version of it. But yeah, basically, this is the CD. Now, I don't have it anymore. Yeah, the CD, definitely remember it being shiny. Oh, wait, no, that's not it. I guess I had a different version of it. Oh, partially mixed. This is the one. Yes, this is the one. Okay, so what does it mean to be partially mixed? That's it, like, I remember it being a mixed, like, it was DJ mixed, but apparently it was only, like, mixed in the studio, I guess? Partially mixed? I really don't know what that means. It's such a weird phrase. But now I'm even more confused, because this came out in '97, so apparently it got a release, did this track, on a compilation like a year before it was released on vinyl. So now that maybe backs up my timeline, because my memory is that it was a pretty early party. Because again, like by the time I was going to parties regularly, it's '97, and what I was talking about, them starting to find ways to crack down on rave parties, which, you know, authorities and LA and elsewhere were never particularly fond of. That had already begun a little bit. It definitely got worse at the turn of the millennium. But yeah, so whether it was '98 or '97, I'm not sure. But as I said, this track played a very pleasant role in one aborted rave evening. I think we were there at the party for like an hour before it got broken up, but either way, it was a track that always stuck with me. So years later, when it came back to my mind one night, I was like, I'm going to find this. And sure enough, I was able to find it. As I said, I don't think it's been in a single one of my mixes over the years, but perhaps the next time I do an acid house mix, I'll try to throw it in there. And again, I asked at the beginning what genre you thought that was. If it was just the middle part of the tune, it's acid house. Like, I feel like the label is much easier to apply there, because that part, it's pretty much straight away acid house. But the book-ended opening and beginning, it has more of a I don't know, sort of tribal kind of feel, because we have that vocal, which is just sort of like a natural vocalization type. It's not like a sung vocal per se. And they got the like tambourine kind of sound, the natural like hand claps, so it all feels kind of very like tribal house, but it's not quite what you would mean when you say that. Like, you know, tribal house, it is sort of a subgenre, and again, I'm not quite sure this would fit into what people think of when they say that phrase. So again, YouTube, Discogs, which is a user-based wiki, meaning that, you know, people who put up the release, or maybe people who go around and edit releases and curate them and so on, their best guess is future jazz, experimental, and tech house, which I don't disagree with any of that. But again, I think because of that middle section, I'm going to go acid house, meaning I'm going to put it in my acid house reaction playlist. So let me know what you think. Shout out to Omnivore, really cool tune. I will see you next time. Peace.